Elina.
Hey.
Welcome here.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Can you start telling us about this one maybe?
Yeah, sure. This is taken this summer at the Botanical Trade Garden. And what attracted me to this particular flower was that there was movement to it. I really like movement and the randomness that it produces, and something in this particular flower reminded me of, I don't know, a skirt or hair or something like that, and it had spirit.
Yes.
So I took that one. Something about white flowers in general. This is another one from the Botanical Garden in the spring. I took this using this kind of double exposure method, taking two pictures on top of each other in the camera.
Is that how you create this dreamlike feeling?
That's what I'm often attracted to. Not just to document small moments in nature, but create something that sort of exists there in terms of these two photos, but then it creates something new when you blend them.
Looks magical.
It sort of reflects a bit the emotion that you have when you see something that is really beautiful, like the little cherry flowers in the spring light.
How long have you been doing this?
About 6 years ago, I think, but more seriously only 3 years ago, or 4 years ago or something. I had a bit of a creative itch that needed scratching. I used to do a lot of dancing, and that was my way of being creative. And then when I sort of stopped actively dancing, I was looking for another way to sort of
creative outlets. Yes.
Like usually creative people who are drawn to this kind of stuff, they have that. That you have to find your thing. And so photography came as a way of it kind of mixes my two passions that I have always had, which is biology and dance, and because I also use body language in my photography, and here's an example of that. I like the idea that you can also create the content in the photo yourself, not just observe it or document it behind the camera, but also create what's in there. And again, I'm interested in very understated and subtle movements, so that the storytelling is not about something grand like in dance photography, typically large jumps or big flashy moves, but for me it's more like extending the everyday body language in a way that there is a little bit of subtle dance, like also in the plant there, but nothing that is obvious. And here's a little butterfly that visited our bedroom.
Wow.
And I wanted to eternalize it.
It's almost like you can see the wings move, because this is made of several photos.
This
right?
is exactly.
How many?
This is two. This is two, and the butterfly was actually a little bit stressed, wanted to get out, and it got to go out soon after this.
Oh,
but
that's
I
good.
quickly grabbed the camera.
It's a happy ending to this.
It was happy. There's a happy ending to this. So this one, I mean, he or she overwintered in our cottage bedroom, and then when we visited there in the winter and heated up the cabin, then the butterfly woke up, and that's when I took the image. And actually this is the second time it woke up. We managed to get it to sleep again. I gave it some sugar water, so it got a little bit of resources to continue its sleep, and then it went back to the corner where it came from, and then it stayed there for another month or so, and then it woke up again when we went there and heated up the house again, but then it was close enough for it to get to go out, and so there was a happy ending.
Really?
Hopefully.
Yes, we think so.
We think so.
Is it nature photography that you're mostly interested in?
Yes, I think it is, because the pictures that kind of stay with me are the ones that reflect my personal interests most. Although I do like taking all kinds of photos, the ones that mean most to me, they are some special moments that I've encountered. They can be very small and kind of trivial to others, but for me they're meaningful, and so I want to portray them. So I do think that nature is there, and then some movement aspects, but who knows? I don't also want to be limited by if I change focus, then I do so. And as a biologist, I guess the whole life is about nature in one way or another. So,
so do you have any future projects or dreams? Anything you would like to do with your photography?
Yes, I think I'm drawn to outside this sort of, in a way, documenting the experiences that I have. I am working on conceptualizing the photography more, and more towards conservation questions. And I have an ongoing series that relates to the experience that when you think about what we humans are doing to our environment and how you can now witness that we have a loss of biodiversity that is extremely rapid, and we have the climate that is changing really rapidly, and we can really, in our daily lives, start to see the impacts. So the experience of going out into the forest is not anymore the same for me as it was maybe 10 or 20 years ago, because now I'm constantly reminded that this forest might not stand here anymore after a couple of years, not even next year, not even next month. And this happens very much locally here in Uppland and everywhere. We need the trees, but also we need the biodiversity, and it's a constant dilemma that brings this melancholy to the experience. And I want to somehow bring more through the photos, hopefully, then into the discussion that this sort of sorrow, what are we losing here? What are we doing, so that we don't just turn the blind eye anymore and just admire the nature that we have, but we also ask ourselves, how long is it going to be here for us to admire and our children to admire? So I think that I will try to push more to this direction, but it is in a way hard, because you're facing then the sort of
the truth.
The truth. It's not just the happy stroll in the forest anymore. On the other hand, I mean, I also photograph things that are just lovely to maybe look at, and it's not the aim necessarily to get anyone to think, except with the future plans with the conservation aspects. But
tell me about a reaction that you maybe get from people when they see your photos.
People see melancholy, and sometimes they ask, is it because of my roots in Finland? That's made me wonder that there can be something to it. The other aspect is that I do recognize that I have always these double feelings, actually since I was a schoolgirl. When I go out there, I also think about the loss. There's a lot of metaphors in the wilderness, and we see the cycle of the life there. And that's also what I'm working on as a biologist. It's all about births and deaths and their consequences. So that could filter in a way somehow into the photos as well. But simply just melancholy, I guess, is beautiful somehow to me as well.
Okay, so thank you for today.
Thanks so much.